Vice Chair, the board meeting of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and its component units is now called to order. On June 7th, the Committee on Security met in executive session. On June 14th, the Audit Committee and Committees on Finance met in executive session. Earlier today, the Committees on Finance and Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management met in public session. Their reports will be filed with the official minutes of today's board meeting. The Commissioners also met in executive session earlier today to discuss matters involving public safety or law enforcement, matters involving ongoing negotiations or review of contracts or proposals, matters related to personnel or personnel procedures, and matters related to the purchase, sale, or lease of real estate property where a disclosure would affect the value thereof or the public interest. I will now request that our Executive Director provide his monthly report. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In this month's report, I'd like to touch briefly on 4 items. First, I want to report to the board that our facilities continue handling operations at record levels. At our airports, JFK and Newark Liberty both set new first quarter passenger records. Stewart more than doubled its volumes over the same period. But I am particularly pleased to report that in the teeth of extensive construction and redevelopment, LaGuardia handled more than 2,530,000 passengers during the month of April, the highest passenger count on record for an April at LaGuardia. And this was the second month in a row that LaGuardia experienced record passenger volume. Passenger volume in February was also the highest passenger count for a February in LaGuardia's history. And I want to say we appreciate the public's patience during the construction period. And it's also important that I express appreciation for the hard work for everyone at all the airports in handling this record volume. The Port Authority staff, Port Authority Police Department, airline staff, airline contractors, airline subcontractors, as well as our federal partners. And as I express gratitude to our airport workers, I obviously take note of the many workers that are here today. And I want to say that we remain steadfast in recommending to the board an amended minimum wage policy to provide higher minimum wages at all of our airports, and I will have more to say about the minimum wage policy in a moment. At our Staten Island bridges, a new one-day eastbound traffic record was set for the combined Staten Island bridges carrying traffic from New Jersey to Staten Island on June 17th. This new record of more than 113,600 vehicles was a substantial increase over the old record, which was also set on last year's Father's Day Sunday. With the additional lanes on the new Goethals Bridge now opened, the bridge has significantly expanded capacity to handle higher traffic volumes. At the Port Authority bus terminal in Midtown Manhattan, we continue to experience record high volumes, consistently approaching 262,000 trips per day on a peak weekday. At PATH, ridership in May of 2018 was higher than any May on record and was more than 2.5% higher than the same period in 2017. The months of April and January were similarly record-breaking. This underlines the need for the additional car purchases you are considering today. At the port, volumes of the port set monthly records in both April and May. The port experienced more than 5% increases in both months. Most strikingly, rail volume for our intermodal facilities was up by 20% over last year and has been above 50,000 containers for 3 consecutive months now. That is a major initiative and priority of the port, and obviously the port is making significant progress. Turning to my second item, the LaGuardia Air Train. On Monday, Governor Cuomo signed legislation which was passed last week by the New York State Legislature that will allow the Port Authority to consider certain attractive alignments for the LaGuardia Air Train that required legislative authorization prior to the upcoming environmental review process. The Port Authority has already conducted numerous meetings with local elected officials and community groups regarding potential air train routes. The environmental review process will now get underway to review a number of different potential alignments, and full community input will continue to be a key part of the process going forward. With respect to the PATH item, which I referred to very briefly a moment ago, I want to note and support in particular PATH's request for this authorization to purchase an additional 22 rail cars. These are crucial to meeting the rail system's capacity needs. PATH has experienced unprecedented growth in recent years, leaving multiple lines at or near capacity during peak travel times. These cars are important to increase PATH's capacity, particularly on the Newark to World Trade Center route over the next 4 years. Finally, I want to note the increasing focus we are placing on community outreach and establishing offices in communities that are affected by our major construction projects. We are establishing formal community outreach offices to engage with communities who are impacted by our major projects. Port Authority is committed to closely engaging with these local communities. Here's a brief update. With respect to the Port Authority bus terminal, we have identified a location near the 9th Avenue entrance to the bus terminal, which will be the site of a new office, which we are targeting an opening in mid-August. The agency will use the space to provide information on the coming bus terminal project and to receive input. It will also serve as a workforce development center supporting local residents. At JFK, the Port Authority will open a community office in Queens near to the airport to engage with that community. Expected to open in late July, the JFK Community Outreach Office will be regularly staffed by managers hired from the community to ensure that engagement efforts continue robustly throughout the life of this project. At Newark Liberty Airport, we plan 2 community outreach offices, one in the city of Elizabeth and the other in the city of Newark. These are being planned in consultation with the mayors of each of these cities. The agency is planning to open these offices in August. In coordination with the Council on Airport Opportunity, each office will be staffed and will serve to engage with our host communities with respect to the coming the terminal project at Newark. The offices will also focus on providing information about potential business and employment opportunities. Finally, at LaGuardia, in early June, we launched a mobile outreach office that will allow the agency to have a presence in all areas affected by the LaGuardia redevelopment project and by the coming AirTrain project. Our community engagement efforts there include funding a scholarship program at Vaughn College for Queens residents. And we are working in coordination with the Council on Airport Opportunity and with local community organizations to establish a career center that will connect local community residents with airport jobs, including job placement services, career counseling, and skills training. We are committed to moving our community consultation process up the curve. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. Any comments or questions with regard to that report? Okay, moving along. Now we'll turn our attention to the minimum wage proposal for LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark Liberty International Airports. The proposed policy, which was published following our March 22nd meeting, was posted for public comment for a 60-day period. We received 733 comments on the proposal. There is a staff recommendation before us to extend the comment period for an additional 30 days in light of the complexity of the issues that were raised during the public comment period and a desire to ensure that we get the policy right. This supplemental comment period will focus on 4 newly raised issues to allow the Commissioners to make a well-reasoned and completely informed determination as to all aspects of the complex minimum wage issue. The 4 issues are tip wages, benefits offset, street pricing, and small businesses. These issues are potentially significant and painfully complex. They raise difficult questions that warrant careful consideration. More importantly, many of the issues that were raised during the final days of the public comment period, and this board needs to get these issues right before we take our final action. Some of the issues that were raised recently, one of the unions representing many of the covered workers asked for a change to the policy to require wheelchair assistants and skycaps to get the minimum wage without allowing employers to take a tip credit. Employers have commented that not providing a benefits offset will result in reductions in health or other benefits or require layoffs. A trade organization representing the airlines communicated its, quote, strong opposition to the rules, arguing the Port Authority lacks the legal authority to adopt the policy, asserting the authority is preempted by various federal and state statutes, including the Airline Deregulation Act. Other commenters have questioned our authority to regulate wages off of an airport property, and that the FDA and FAA regulations preempt any power the Port Authority has to regulate off-airport food preparation businesses. Speaking on behalf of the Commissioners, we are committed to getting this right. We have spent a lot of time talking about the minimum wage over the last few months. If you look back at history, the first time this was raised is April 23rd to 2014. The Board has met 42 times over those years. In 41 of those 42 meetings, we have dedicated time and public comment to this very important issue. With the exception to last August, which is a special meeting that we had for the chair and for an election of a chair, every meeting has been dedicated for the last 4 years talking about the minimum wage. I think this board has acted very responsibly. There are these 4 issues that are complex. They deal with constitutional issues, preemption issues, federal and state statutes, federal regulations, and we want to make sure the decision that we embrace and the resolution is very clear, that we will have a determination made no later than the September board meeting, that when we make that determination, this board, working with this staff, that we get it and it withstands all types of scrutiny, public policy scrutiny, constitutional scrutiny, judicial scrutiny. We're going to get it right. We need an extra 30 days to solicit some more input, and then a final determination will be made no later than the September board meeting. Mr. Executive Director, want to add your voice?
Well, I'd just like to comment, Mr. Chairman, on the staff recommendation, both the prior recommended policy and on the current recommendation to add an additional 30-day policy. And I would frame that within by 2 foundation comments. First, the staff remains steadfast in recommending an amended minimum wage policy that will provide appropriate compensation and higher compensation to our highly valued airport workers. Second, the staff is completely committed to providing the board with a solid legal record on which to base its decision. And in connection with that commitment to provide the board with the strongest possible legal record, the staff undertook a full review of the comments submitted during the prior comment period, and the staff identified the 4 significant issues that you have just discussed, Mr. Chairman. Our strong recommendation is that the Port Authority should, in the interest of a full record, allow stakeholders and the public to comment on these 4 issues in an additional 30-day period. The staff and the board will then be in a strong position to establish a new minimum wage policy. We recognize that this additional procedural step causes some delay, but we believe this additional step is both prudent and necessary for the board. And I would note for the board that the last time a minimum wage policy was formally before the board, that board in 2014 and 2015 took the prudent step of having 2 comment periods, and that is precisely what we are recommending to the board today.
Thank you, Mr. Executive Director. Any commissioners want to have a comment or question? Okay, we will vote on this item after we hear from the public. Moving on to the next issue, we are going to recognize the actions of 5 Port Authority tunnel and bridge agents and 3 Port Authority police officers at the Lincoln Tunnel who took action in the administering life-saving measures for an individual, a New Jersey Transit passenger who was suffering some great medical distress, and I presume that the individuals, the 8, have actually saved a life. And it is heartwarming. It is fascinating to see what the police and our agents do every single day, provide a service. This, I would suggest, is above and beyond the service we expect, but on behalf of all the residents of New York and New Jersey and all of our customers, we thank you for this incredible service. Rick?
So let me provide some details on the truly life-saving actions of the 8 individuals who we recognize today. On Tuesday, June 5th of this year, 3 Port Authority Police Department officers at the Lincoln Tunnel and 5 tunnel and bridge agents worked together to resuscitate a passenger on a New Jersey Transit bus who had suffered a cardiac arrest. Through their fast actions, the Lincoln Tunnel staff saved the passenger's life by reestablishing a pulse and restoring breathing. The details were that at approximately 4:25 in the afternoon of June 5th, the Lincoln Tunnel Communications Desk received a report of a cardiac emergency on board a New Jersey Transit bus just outside the New York portal of the North Tube. Police officer Nicholas Armenti was the first on the scene as he was on post, and the bus driver pulled over and waved the officer over to advise him that a passenger was in cardiac arrest. With the assistance of a Good Samaritan citizen on the bus, police officer Armenti removed the unconscious and non-breathing passenger from the bus. Within moments, his colleagues, police officers Crystal Armenti and Kevin McGimsey, also arrived at the scene, and the officers began CPR. The 3 officers all took turns administering CPR. Senior Tunnel and Bridge Agent Richard Hallquist, with Tunnel and Bridge Agents Christopher Kerrigan, Anthony Natoli, Ricardo Pachon, and Anthony Paleo, responded to the scene and assisted in the continuing attempt to revive the passenger. Agents Kerrigan and Natoli used an automated external defibrillator on the patient and initiated assistant ventilation with the bag valve mask. After the second application, the patient regained his pulse and breathing. New York City EMS arrived shortly thereafter, and the passenger was transported to a local hospital. It was through these quick actions and training and true teamwork of these police officers and tunnel and bridge agents that the patient was successfully brought back to life and is now recovering at the hospital.
So Rick and Vice Chair, if you want to join me as we present proclamations. Police Officer Crystal Armenti. Police Officer Nicholas Armenti.
Wow. That's something. What are the odds of that? Unless they're all by that name.
Christopher Kerrigan. Oh.
Anthony Natoli.
Nicholas Natoli.
Okay.
Anthony Paleo.
Ricardo Pachon. We'll get a quick shot of what we're doing coming up. Now we're shot.
But get into it.
Okay. We got a few seats up here if people want to take some seats. Brian Murray, come on, Brianna. I brought my daughter to,
Yes.
I brought my daughter here today for a couple of reasons. I couldn't find a babysitter for my 18-year-old, so she had to come to work. And her friend Brianna, who are working with me in my law firm over the summer.
All right.
And I thought today would be an appropriate day for my daughter and her friend, her blood sister since grammar school, to come and see someone who has worked her entire life for the Port Authority, who after 40 years is calling it quits, and somebody who has been a role model for all of our children. And I will say in context, I've been on this board for a year now, and I've served as the chair for about 10 months. And I've worked virtually every day with Karen. Secretary does not want to be called clerk to this board. And I've worked over the last 30 years with many thousands of public employees and several hundred private employees, and she is just extraordinary in every sense of the word. A couple weeks ago, I got a phone call, a text actually, from Karen, said she had to come see me and in the law firm. And when you get texts like saying you have to see you first thing in the morning, you get a little concerned that the sense of urgency. So she came to my office, and she came very early, and she said, "I want to tell you something." I said, "Yes." She said, "I'm retiring." And it just kind of takes your breath away. Someone who has dedicated her entire life, when I say 40 years, she is very much an institution here. And I just asked her some of the perfunctory why, and she said, "It's time." We have her mom here, her son, her daughter here, and she wants to spend more time with them, and I presume the husband and a few other relatives. And something she said to me, which I found to be extraordinary, because Karen has been through all of the good times and bad times, the turbulent times here at the port, and she said, things are really quiet and working out now. She says, what this board is doing with this executive director and this team in place, she said there's never going to be a better time. I thought that spoke volumes, not only of Karen and her integrity, her experience and her vantage point, but also talked about the state of being where we are in the Port Authority. So when an extraordinary woman or person is going to leave after doing extraordinary things, I think it is incumbent upon the employer to show some of the extraordinary things back. So to that end, the Port Authority has a long-standing history of honoring distinguished and exceptional employees with an award. Now, she may or may not know this is coming, but in March of 1957, the board established an award, the Howard Coleman Award, Distinguished Service Medal, the highest civilian award given by the Port Authority in honoring of former Chair Howard Coleman. This award is given to the Port Authority employees who have performed the most outstanding service to the Port Authority and the region. Today, I would ask that this board, in a rare and almost unprecedented fashion, bestow this prestigious award to Karen E. Eastman, the Secretary to the Board of the Port Authority, for her exemplary service that she has provided to this agency, her integrity, her dedication to a career as a public servant, which has only served to benefit the Port Authority that serves this region, very important region. As many of you know, this will be Karen's last board meeting, and she'll be retiring tomorrow. And after 40 years of Port Authority service, over 16, which she served as our corporate officer and secretary, she's a career public servant. She started, and I could say this now, 1978. I had just concluded my 8th grade, and I remember reading about her somewhere. And many say she's an institution, and they say it lovingly, respectfully, glowingly. And Karen, you are an institution, and that's how we all feel about you. And while I've only known you for a year, I feel in many ways I've known you for my entire life, because you represent the very best of who we are as human beings and the very best of who we are as public servants. They just don't make them like you anymore. And we are so fortunate to have you and have had you, and we will rely upon you going forward. And while we are happy for you, Karen, and we have seen your dedication and loyalty, you know, it's going to be hard to replace you. And we have Linda, who's going to be the acting. She's here, Linda Handlin. We're going to have Jim as the deputy. He's going to be acting. The two of them, and I say this respectfully, and they have said it to me and to Rick, both of them together couldn't possibly fill your shoes. And I mean that. So it is with great resignation, but also some happiness, that I say to you, job well done, congratulations, and we ask for a motion that she be awarded the Coleman.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Congratulations. What we'd like to do is, we're going to give the award, I'd ask the entire board come down with our executive director as well. Besides the Coleman Award, we are also getting a very fancy resolution that your staff had signed by all of us today. And also, we have a plaque that has been designed by staff with all of our names going to you on behalf of the board, the executive director, and all the folks that you have served so well for the last 40 years. You can hold this. If everyone could join us down below, that would be great.
You should hold it. We'll come down there.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Karen Hayes, public speaking. On behalf of the board, we present the Coleman Medal, Distinguished Medal, unprecedented for a secretary clerk. 40 years. I know.
We depend on you, but we're not allowed to.
So, can a group photo? What's that? Great, thank you. Congratulations.
I'll hug you after.
Before we hear from Karen at her option, we have any of the board members and the vice chair would like to say a few words. Vice chair?
I've had the privilege of working with Karen for only 7 years, since 2011, but I have witnessed over that time personally, I have noticed her dedication, her tireless efforts, and most important, her thoughtful cooperation with all those she works with. I asked for some specific information this morning I'd like to share with everyone here. Karen has served with 91 of the 153 commissioners who ever served on the Port Authority Board. That's 60%, which I think is an incredible statistic. She served with 10 chairs, 8 vice chairs, and 12 executive directors out of 14. That is clearly a record that will never be surpassed. So very good. And we want to thank you for your being a superb role model. We will miss you, but with our police force, we know where to find you. So thank you.
Any other comments or questions or statements? Dan?
Chairman, I just want to say, Karen, that 40 years of public service is just extraordinary. And I just want to say very briefly that, you know, in these days, which are somewhat turbulent and somewhat trying, I think it's really important for the public to understand what your career means in terms of giving to the public. 40 years is an extraordinary accomplishment. And while I've only worked with you for a year, it's been tremendous, and I value the time that we spent together, so congratulations.
Thank you. Mr. Executive Director.
Mr. Chairman, I've worked now, Karen, with you for 10 months. Appreciate all the support that you've provided to me, and I've watched you work. I think the sentiment I would like to express is truly on behalf of your colleagues who, without an exception, have, every time I've talked to them, have expressed enormous appreciation for the collegial, cooperative, supportive, detailed attention that you have provided to matters that are coming to the board and that you wind up working with all elements of the organization. You have really been an example.
Yes. Ray?
Yes, I would, as being, I don't mean oldest year-wise, but probably, but I've been here the longest. 16 years ago, when I first met Karen, when I became a commissioner, she then was like 24 years, and I thought, wow, that's a long time. So now here it is, 40. Karen, I just want to say thank you for all the things that you've helped me with in terms of my duties and the due diligence here at the Port Authority. And I agree with all the comments that were made by everyone on this board. So good luck to you, good health, and a long life. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ray. Anybody else? Okay, moving along, we will now provide an opportunity for members of the public to comment on Port Authority matters. This public comment period, which may be limited to 30 minutes in total, provides an opportunity for members of the public to present their views directly to the board, but does not provide for a dialogue. Members of the public wishing to discuss a specific matter with the Port Authority staff are advised to contact our Public Affairs Department, and speakers are asked to comply with the fixed time today of 2 minutes. Mr. Weissman.
Chairman O'Toole, Director Cotton, Commissioners, good afternoon. You have copies of extended remarks. Everyone likes praise, to be told that others like you and agree with what you're doing. By the same token, no one likes to be scolded or told that they're doing wrong. Both apply to the Port Authority's plans for the GWB paths. Apparently, the agency feared its plans wouldn't survive scrutiny because it never subjected them to disclosure and feedback normally accorded high-use transportation projects. The sessions you did hold were for select audiences, scripted to omit critical data, and stage managed to preempt criticism and the voicing of alternative narratives. Whether through lack of funding, inadequate process, or both, the result is so compromised that the $118 million you say will be spent will be wasted. All users will have to walk, and the opportunity to expand Trans-Hudson capacity will be lost for generations. In May, in one of a series of endorsements that the agency has used to defend its plans, the heads of 3 organizations lauded the agency with a plaque. They did so despite their own past statements, constituents' objections, and their organization's official positions. In 2013, New Jersey Bike Walk called for paths with 20 times their current capacity. In 2013 and in 2016, New York Cycle Club's board called for paths compliant with national standards, and so have 10 of its past presidents. In November, Transportation Alternatives joined a chorus of supporters and allies and added AASHTO-compliant GWB paths to its list of regional transport infrastructure recommendations. While the agency basks in praise, it ignores the honest criticism of hundreds of organizations' communities comprising millions of residents who've asked for a proper, safe, and long-lived facility. On the other hand, if the agency gets this path thing right, a plaque with all their names would stretch across the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Carlos Cisora? I may have not gotten the name correctly.
He's unavailable. I'm speaking.
Are you Justin?
Yes.
Come on. You're next.
Good afternoon. My name is Justin Pascone. I'm the Director of Policy and Research for the New York Building Congress. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak this afternoon on the Port Authority's vital proposal to build a new rail connection to LaGuardia Airport. The Building Congress is a nearly 100-year-old organization working to encourage the growth and success of New York City's building industry and the vibrancy of the city at large. We represent more than 550 constituent organizations, employing over 250,000 professionals and tradespeople. The Building Congress proudly supports the Port Authority's transformative proposal to build a LaGuardia Air train. As New York's population and tourism industry continue to grow, getting to and from the region's airports is one of the most crucial economic and infrastructure challenges. Traffic congestion is crippling our commercial districts, impacting every corner of our city. New York's need for new and better options for public transportation, particularly given the rapid pace of development and the negative impact poor transportation options have on our economy, notably for businesses and leisure travel. A new report from the Building Congress demonstrates that while the number of visitors to New York City has swelled to 62 million people in 2017, investments in New York City's infrastructure failed to keep pace. While one of our key recommendations from that report is to improve access to transportation and includes building a direct link to LaGuardia. Dedicated airport rail service has worked in Newark and JFK and has shifted millions of travelers and employees off roadways and onto trains that have delivered them directly to the terminal. We believe now is the time to act, and we congratulate the Port Authority on this initiative and look forward to working with you to make this rail link a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. Next one's Murray Bodin, but I think he's out of state. Murray? Not here. Patrick Jean? Next one up is Rafael Ortega after Patrick, and then Beverly Thompson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Patrick Jean, and I work as a driver for Sky Chef at JFK in the airline catering industry. I'm here to support the 19 minimum wage increase. The increase to $19 would allow me to create real changes in my life that will keep me from living from paycheck to paycheck, and will make it much more likely that I'll stay in the airport and build a long-term career at JFK. I want to thank the Port Authority for recognizing the importance of the airline catering workers, for including us in the new policy, but I have to wonder when we will finally get the increase. Our families are counting on this raise. How long do we have to wait? Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Rafael Ortega, followed by Beverly Thompson.
My name is Rafael Ortega. I work in Gay Gourmet. My name is Ronnie. I work 8 years. I want to thank the Port Authority for including us and like the Catherine working in the news wage policy. The workers, with this very important to those at airport. I will work in result in more time flight and the more secure airport. By it's the time to work the changes. They work deserve, so do airport passengers. They will also benefit from the police license. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Beverly Thompson, followed by Henry Paccio. Terrific.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Beverly Thompson. I worked for OTG Management for many years. OTG is a concession company that operates operates all of the foods and beverages in Newark Terminal C. I'm here today in support of the $19 an hour minimum wage for all airport workers. Speaking as someone who has worked at Newark, it's great to hear that the Port Authority is finally creating a constant wage across all the airports and making sure Newark airport workers will soon be making the similar wages as workers as LaGuardia and JFK. But when will it happen? I have personally been coming to this meeting for years. Right now, I'm kind of on the upset side because it don't seem like y'all getting ready to give us the wages that we were promised. But I have one thing to say. This is my granddaughter. She's special need. And we do need the wages, the $19. And one more thing. The Word of God said, you have not because you ask not. We're asking.
Thank you. Henry Paccio. Followed by Lyndall Lawrence.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Henry Pacheco. I work at JFK Airport for OTG as a receiver in the warehouse. I've worked at the airport for 5 years. I'm here to support the new wage policy for airport workers. Hundreds of airport workers join me in submitting comments in support of the wage policy. This shows you how much this will mean to the people of New York and New Jersey who rely on their airport job to support themselves and their families. This new policy will benefit individuals, our families, our communities, and New York and New Jersey's airports. We appreciate the support of the commissioners in passing the initial resolution, but it's time for it to happen. Please enact this policy as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Lyndall Lawrence. Followed by Fernando Garcia.
Good afternoon. My name is Lyndall Lawrence, and I worked at United Airlines catering operations in Newark Airport for three and a half years. I currently make $16 an hour. I'm a driver, which means I drive a lift truck to deliver meals to United airplanes. I also unload and dispose of waste from international flights. My job is highly important. If we don't cater planes, the planes don't take off. Yet for a long time, my coworkers and I have been left behind. I live with my mother in a small apartment in Elizabeth, New Jersey, where the rent is almost half my month's pay. When you add my other basic expenses, I don't have much left. So even though I work for an airline that makes billions in profits, I can't save up for a vacation or education. For a lot of workers at United Catering, that means they either juggle 2 jobs or they're always on the lookout for something that pays better. And that means they're tired or distracted at work. And that makes everybody's job harder, and it means the airport doesn't run as smoothly as it should. I'm proud that as workers, we all have come together and fought for this new policy. But we were expecting here today to celebrate a major step forward for the airports and for airport workers. Instead, we find out there's a delay. I don't know what is going on, but we need you to pass this policy now, and we can't wait any longer. Thank you.
Followed by Ashley Azzi.
Good afternoon. My name is Fernando Garcia. Okay. I work at Newark Airport as a driver for United Airlines catering operation, where we have workers over 40 countries from around the world. I have worked for 11 years. I make 16.70 per hour. Drivers like me have a lot of responsibility. When we leave the catering kitchen, we have to solve any problem that can up. We work with flight crew to make sure they have everything they need. We must always be on time so flight can take off. And we must operate trucks safely to ensure the security of the world airport. Being dependable and experienced is very important in my job. For us catering workers who work directly for United, the new minimum wage policy will be an enormous benefit. Not just because we will be able to support our families, but also because we will have more experienced workers and safer airport in Newark. But we need this to happen now. We have been pushing for this for too long and cannot wait any longer. We urge to pass this policy as soon as possible. We are counting on you. Today, you write a line, the history in the worker family when you approve the new rate. Today, we give the opportunity to work like me to bring to my house more food, more security, more opportunity to my family. Remember, I come with you, we come with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley. Followed by Yocasta Reno.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the time. My name is Ashley Acey. I work at OTG Management in Newark Airport. I've been there for 4 years now as a server and a bartender. Customer service is a very important part of my job and what I do in airport concessions. I take pride in my job. I take pride in what I do, and I know that it's a very important service that I provide every day. And in an environment as stressful as the airport with so many moving parts, it is not always an easy thing to do. The $19 wage policy will help us to provide better service. I'm pretty sure we all know when we're making money, we're happy. When we're happy, we work better for you. This will only benefit everyone. The policy, it just helps everyone all around. If the way we live our lives and what we need to move forward is not an important thing to move forward, it just becomes problematic. What we need is a better standard of life, a better way to move forward. And passing this $19 policy, it's not the end-all, be-all, but it's a good start. You know, I urge you to move forward and pass this policy because as you see in history, when you look back, people are always confused. How did they work like that? How did that work? Be on the right side of history. You know, pass this policy. Show us that you care about what we're doing and how we're trying to move forward. It's only the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Casca.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jocasta Reynoso. I am a union representative for Local 1102 from the RWDSU. We represent almost over 1,000 employees on the Newark Airport and the JFK Airport. I know the Port Authority has done the right thing by proposing the minimum wage increase, and we understand there's some complications in putting this into effect. However, we waited long enough. How long more do we have to wait? I can't express how thankful all these workers were when they heard of the news of the new minimum increase. I am asking you on behalf of the over 1,000 workers that we represent, all these workers that work day and night on this 24-hour facility, preparing food and cold and hot kitchens for the airlines. We're asking that you expedite this approval of the new minimum increase by September 1st, and we hope that you could take this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. France? Vivio? France Vivio? Vivio. Thank you. Myra Velardes? Tom Rowland? Followed by Felice Farber.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Tom Rowland. I am the Secretary-Treasurer of Local 1102 of the RWDSU. I also, standing here before you, we bring us back about 3 months ago when you endorsed this $19 wage. The impact that had in the shop was immediate. We have been following the turnover ratio of people coming and leaving these positions. We've seen a slowdown with the idea of this $19 per hour in wages coming into place. People are staying. People that were leaving are now staying. I know one of the concerns that you have that was brought up had to do with benefits being offset by the wages. We feel that $19 should be the minimum wage that the employees earn. And I know I speak for my brothers and sisters in the room. We will make ourselves available to discuss additional benefits on top of the 19 anytime you're available.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Felice Farber. Followed by Joseph Dominic.
Good afternoon. I'm Felice Farber, Senior Director of Policy and External Affairs for the General Contractors Association of New York. We are grateful for the opportunity to be here today to lend our full support to the LaGuardia AirTrain proposal. It is certainly a project that is long overdue and one that is critically important to keeping our region economically competitive and environmentally sustainable. The GCA represents nearly 300 heavy civil contracting firms that have built virtually every piece of critical civil infrastructure in the New York and New Jersey metropolitan region for the past 110 years. These companies employ over 25,000 professional and union trades workers who construct and rehabilitate our roads, bridges, parks, schools, water, and transit systems. Our members built the port's Holland and Lincoln tunnels, the Bayonne-Gothel's Outer Bridge Crossing, GW bridges, and even the hugely successful AirTrain project. Right now, they and their subcontractors are busily working on the massive LaGuardia revisioning project and today all our members are looking forward to helping you make convenient transit access to the airport a reality. But it is worthy to note at this point that in the course of taking such terrific ideas and making them tangible, our member companies take on enormous tasks that come with equally enormous risks, ones that are frequently overlooked when projects are finished and congratulations are passed out. But the reality is that taking a project from paper rendering or even a detailed blueprint to completion is a long and complicated road. Determining actual buildability, hiring a highly skilled and qualified workforce, ensuring a safe working environment, sequencing construction elements, handling mammoth material logistics, securing interim financing, hiring subcontractors and MWBEs, assuming extraordinary levels of liability, working with the community, making payroll, are things that we euphemistically refer to as turning concepts into concrete. And all that and more is at the heart of what our members do each day. The bottom line is that our success is your success, and we very much look forward to working with you in the coming weeks and months to ensure that this project will achieve similar, if not greater, success than the JFK's AirTrain.
Thank you very much. Joseph Dominics?
Good afternoon. I'm Joseph Dominzak, General President of the Railway Independent Transit Union. I'm here with my fellow labor leaders from PATH, speaking on behalf of PATH's 1,000 represented employees. The employees whose selfless dedication and hard work rebuilt and restored this railroad after the devastation of September 11th, after the fury of Superstorm Sandy, after countless blizzards, nor'easters, and presently incompetent vendors that have disrupted PATH's service. PATH will be one of the very few railroads in the country that will meet the federal mandate to have positive train control installed and operational by the end of 2018. In July and August of 2017, PATH kept this region moving, and because of our efforts, countless commuters avoided the summer of hell that was forecast during the major Penn Station track and signal repairs. I point out these accomplishments by our members not because you're unaware of them, but to highlight the sacrifices it took to accomplish them. The long work days, the weekends and holidays away from families, 7-day work weeks became the norm because that's what it took to get the job done. Our members have always put the safe and reliable transportation of our customers first, but our members want to know, when will they be recognized for their hard work and dedication? As you're aware, they have been working for 7 years without a contract, 8 years without a raise. When will our members be able to stop trying to make ends meet on wages from 2010? We applauded this body when they passed a resolution to expedite the approval process when the parties reach an agreement. Unfortunately, agreements on PATH are no closer to reality. In fact, negotiations have regressed since you passed that resolution. Another PATH union has entered mediation due to the lack of progress, and 4 other unions have reached an impasse and are in the process of seeking release from the National Mediation Board. During these 7 years of bargaining, a period in which PATH experienced unprecedented increase in ridership and revenue, this carrier has yet to put a contract proposal in writing to any of the 10 PATH unions. What they have put in writing are proposals to systematically dismantle our health care.
Can you summarize the rest there, sir?
Yes. I'll conclude by, it's our request that to have a meeting with Chairman O'Toole and Executive Director Cotton. I know this request was denied on the Port Authority side, but negotiations are nowhere near the same stage on the PATH side. So we request, I'll follow up with an email to the Executive Director, and we request a meeting on this.
Appreciate it. You'll get a response. Thank you. Next one is Joseph Kellerman. 17 done, 17 to go.
Good afternoon. My name is Josh Kellerman. I'm the Director of Public Policy for the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union, RWDSU. We represent over 100,000 workers, primarily in retail, food processing, and other low-wage sectors, including thousands of concessions and catering workers at New York City's airports through our affiliate, Local 1102. I want to thank the Commissioners of the Port Authority for seeking to raise the wage for all airport workers, recognizing that it is not enough to just invest in our airport infrastructure. We must also invest in our workforce in order to build the first-class airports that our city and our visitors deserve. I also want to express my disappointment that today will not be a celebration of that raise that these hard-working airport employees were promised, but rather a delay, likely until late September of the vote. Our workers have already waited years for this raise, and honestly, it feels like we need a victory right now, given everything else that's happening, that happened just this week, if not this year, in the last couple of years. Waiting several more months means several more months in which they cannot afford a medical bill, or healthy food, or rent and utilities. Waiting several more months means several more months in which we are not building the first-class airport the visitors to our city expect and deserve. One way to assure that the Commission moves forward on a clear timeline is by scheduling an ad hoc board meeting in August that will specifically be used to finalize this issue. We understand the need to get this right for the reasons stated today, but we also expect that there will be no further delays. Thank you.
Thank you. Ahmad Williams. Ahmad Williams, followed by David Cotton.
Hello, my name is Ahmad Williams, and I'm a cabin cleaner at Newark International Airport. And I'm here on behalf of the 32 BJ for the $19 raise. I'm kind of new to this fight, but most of all, what I've seen in my life can be post to this very moment of a $19 raise. Although I feel like today was a setback, I feel like you guys ultimately will make the right decision. I'm everywhere fighting on behalf of greater good for my city and the people around my city for great things. But I've seen a lot of things growing up in the city of Newark, but most of all, I've seen working mothers work all their lives and not even have enough money to bury themselves or their children. I've seen signs going up that I wanted to pay my bills, but that's all we work for, is to pay our bills. Not to live, not to be able. I have seen very few signs that said I want to go on a vacation after I retire. I've seen very few signs that said I want to send my children to college with this money, this $19 raise. I want to send my children to college. So I'm standing here today on a better life for my children. So with the $19 raise, I want to send my children to college. I don't want to work all my life just to die and not have my children, leave my children money to bury me or themselves. And with that being said, we work. But I got to the airport and I seen this one thing, that the people that been there for a lifetime, they are so dedicated to this company. They make sure that the new people that come in don't betray this company. They make sure that you are on your toes day in and day out. It's people that say they couldn't stand here. When they told me that the ring was pushed back, they was like, it's over. I said it's not, because I'm going to go and I'm going to speak on behalf of everybody that lost hope. So with that, I thank you for this time.
Thank you. David Cotton. David Cotton, followed by Andrea Bundy. Mr. Cotton.
Good afternoon. My name is David Cotton. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Flying Food Group, LLC, which is an airline catering company that has operations both at JFK and Newark airports. Flying Food respectfully but strongly objects to the proposed new minimum wage rule because of the impact that we're afraid that it's going to have on our employees, even though I understand that the proposed rules are well-intended. We provide meals and beverages, catering services to airlines that fly out of both JFK and Newark airports. None of our facilities are actually at the airport, but they're close to the airport. We have been able to pay our employees wages that we believe are fair, but also reflects the economics of the airline catering business, where the profits margins are very, very tight, due in large part to the very aggressive competition that Flying Food Group has from international catering companies that operate in the United States, but that are headquartered outside the United States. Flying Food Group is the only major catering company that is United States owned and operated. Our base is in Chicago, our headquarters is, but our primary operations are in the New York area, LA, and the San Francisco areas. Flying Food Group employs approximately 1,350 employees at JFK and Newark, 900 at JFK, and 450 at Newark. 93%, or 830 of our employees at JFK, are from Queens and Brooklyn. They live in Queens and Brooklyn. Over 90% of our foreign employees at Newark are from either Newark or Elizabeth. Up to 80% of the jobs that we have, approximately 1,000, near JFK and Newark, will very likely be eliminated if the wage rates are pushed up to the proposed level of $19 an hour. The reason is because we will be forced to relocate. We'll have to outsource the meals that we have to low-wage areas. It's not something we want to do, but the economic reality is that that's the only way that probably we're going to be able to maintain the service and the business that we have at the JFK and Newark airports. Thank you.
Let's have some, first of all, everybody's entitled to their opinion. We respect everybody's opinion. Let's treat everybody with some dignity and respect whether you agree or disagree. I ask that from everybody. We need to take a brief detour from the agenda to go to an item to vote so we don't have a quorum issue. And I apologize for this. The next item authorizes the Port Authority continued participation as a member, I'm sorry, that's the first one, as a member of the Transcom, a not-for-profit coalition of regional transportation operations, which includes Port Authority membership on Transcom's Board of Trustees at an aggregate amount of approximately $7 million, inclusive of all membership and operations, maintenance fees for access to Transcom systems which support regional mobility. Prior to making a motion, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
Commissioner Pacino is recused.
Any commissioners have any questions or comments? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacino is recused.
Next item authorizes PATH continued. Peter, that's the next one we're doing. Participation of a member of Transcom, which includes PATH membership of Transcom Board of Trustees, an aggregate amount of approximately $1 million, inclusive of all membership and operations and maintenance fees and access to Transcom systems, which supports regional mobility. Prior to making a motion, I ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
Commissioner Pacino is recused.
Recused? Okay, any commissioners have any comments or questions? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
And Commissioner Pacino, who is recused.
Madam Secretary, those are the only two we have to take care of? We're good? Okay. Okay, back to the public portion. Apologize for that detour. Andrea Bundy, please. Absent. Sorry, absent? Okay, thank you. Angie Parson. Angie, come on up. Followed by Carol Port.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, my name is Angie Person. I'm a cleaner at JFK Airport, and I'm here to support the $19 raise for everyone, for Newark and New York workers. A little story about me. This is the end of the month. I've been at JFK for 5 years. The end of the month is hard for me because at the end of the month, I have to work 80 hours in a 40-hour week to pay the rent. I thought it was going to be a victory, but as of today, because of the pushback, I have to work 81 hours this week. So I'm just asking y'all to do the right thing, make it swift, because we deserve it. My cards say I'm a cleaner, but at the airport, when I'm in those bathrooms, I'm more than a cleaner. Lost and found, child care. I have children who come in there, their parents lose them because the children don't lose the parents lose them. I have to walk around with them with a little scrap until I find a parent or a cop to put them in their right place. I have elderly people who can't wash their hands. I help them wash their hands. Some soil on themselves. And yes, I do. I help them because it's embarrassing if they go back out in the public. So, like I said, my title say cleaner, but I'm more than a cleaner at JFK. God forbid I don't have to be a police officer who has to sniff out a bomb and thing, because bags do get left in there, and then we have to turn into police officers. And that's just the word, not to put any police officers down, but this is just our, this is what we do all day there. We do a lot of jobs. And with all those jobs that we do, $13 an hour, it's not worth, it's horrible. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody in this room flies. Everybody uses the airport once in a while. And if there's no soap or tissue in that bathroom, it's a problem. So I thank you, and let's just make this swift, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Carol Port. Carol Court. Brenda Wilson. After Brenda, there's a Raquel Leon.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I would like to know why there's an airline's delay in our $19 wage. Because I have so many bills to pay, and every year the bills goes up. That includes the water bill, electric bill, gas bill, life, health insurance, food, transportation, rent, and much more. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Raquel? Raquel?
I'm just going to translate for her.
Okay, fine.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Raquel Jesús, trabajo en JFK.
Good afternoon. My name is Raquel Jesus. I work at JFK for 18 years.
Estoy molesta con la aerolínea porque yo miro cómo la aerolínea han crecido su dinero y yo me mantengo en el mismo sitio con el mismo sueldo.
I'm very upset with the airlines because I see how their wages continue to increase and mine has stayed the same.
Y yo espero que ustedes tengan consideración cuando vayan a la votación. Y porque tengo que comprar comida que está cara, tengo que pagar la medicina y tengo que pagar renta.
I really hope you take all of this into consideration when you vote because I have to pay my bills, I have to pay for food, and I have to pay medication.
No es con ustedes, porque ustedes no han soportado. La situación está con la aerolínea y por favor tengan consideración cuando vayan a la votación. Gracias.
Again, I'm asking you to please take this into consideration. I'm not upset with you. I'm upset with the airlines who have kept delaying this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Donna Hampton. After Donna, we'll have Manuel Mendez.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Donna Hampton. I'm a security officer at JFK for 12 years. I'd first like to thank you all for your hard work. It's so refreshing to see a new panel up there that's really listening to our stories of woe. In support of the $19 per hour, I'd also like to add on, we need health care. We'd also like to have the opportunity to get a pension. You know, some workers have no paid vacation. Doing security work, you're on your feet for 8 hours a day, and you wear many different caps. I'd like to close with leaving a posing question. Where is it acceptable in these United States of America for a worker to give 20 years of service and still make $8 an hour, while the highest paid CEO of an airline is raking in $8,000 per hour? I'd like an answer to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Manuel Mendez. No? Okay, thank you for that. Jason Stiles? Is Jason here? Followed by Maritza Collado.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jason Stiles. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I work at JFK Airport. I've been there for like 2 years now. 4 years ago, I lost my wife through cancer, so I'm raising my son 10 years old by myself. It's hard. Excuse me, I'm a little nervous, but
don't be nervous.
It's hard raising my son because he used to play football, and ever since my wife lost her life, he was like, "Can I still play football?" And I was like, "I can't afford it." You know, like right now, I had to send him down south to live with my grandfather, and he's 8 years old. The reason why I did that because I can't work and take care of him in the summertime. But we need this $19 an hour I've seen many workers working 2 jobs and don't have no place to live. You got some sleeping in stairs, air train. I just hope that y'all can see this and approve this, because we all need it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you. Maritza Collado. Maritza. Followed by Desmond Grant.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Maritza Collado, trabajo en La Guardia, soy una humilde trabajadora de allí, como muchos que somos trabajadores, y venimos a que ustedes escuchen y sean conscientes a lo que estamos aclamando.
Good afternoon. My name is Maritza. I work really hard. I work at LaGuardia, and I'm here also to ask for the $19 an hour wage increase.
Es importante para mí porque este aumento impactaría en mí y en muchas familias de los trabajadores, puesto que yo tenía 2 trabajos y tuve que dejar uno puesto que mi salud estaba quebrantándose.
This is important for me and my family and many families. At one point I had to work 2 jobs to make ends meet, and it was affecting my health.
Creo que es justo que después de Dios sean ustedes los que tienen el poder de la decisión de lo que estamos aclamando, de que las aerolíneas sean justas para los trabajadores, que en ellas nosotros en sí le hacemos el trabajo, puesto que ellas tienen ganancia, y además de eso, también ellos, además de la ganancia que tienen, las maletas también extras las cobran. Entonces, por ende, por el trabajo que hacemos, nosotros merecemos un pago justo.
We deserve just pay. The airlines make a lot of money. They make more money than we do. They have the means to help me and to help my family. They charge for everything, including for baggage fees. They should be able to help us and pay for this.
Vivimos en una ciudad, entre comillas, de New York, donde debemos de estar justamente trabajando humildemente y honestamente, que se nos pague un trabajo por un trabajo justo, un salario justo por mi beneficio, el beneficio de la familia, la calidad de salud y la calidad humana. Gracias.
I have 2 seconds. Basically, we deserve to be paid justly. I'm a humble worker. We just deserve to be paid fair wages. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Desmond Grant. Desmond Grant. Not here. Okay. Zakiya Medina. Followed by Vladimir Clearjune. Yes. How are we doing?
How you doing, Commissioners? Good afternoon. Just want to start off saying that I know I don't have a lot of time, but what I can tell you is that it's pretty obvious that a lot of workers here are very disappointed in the delay with the wages. I don't know a lot about policies, but what I do know is that we have thousands of workers that are out here right now in support of the wage increase. Now, it is true, these airlines make about billions of dollars every year. And without these workers here representing themselves today, these airlines will not be functioning the way they do. So it is very important that we do get these wages increased, because as you can see, these workers here, they have families, they have bills to pay, they have debt. Many people go to college, and it's only fair that they get what they deserve. They work hard. I see them work hard. I work at the Newark Airport myself as a baggage handler, and it's very hard. I make $10.45, to be honest with you. And going home to my grandmother and having to pay a $1,250 rent, that's terrible. Not only because the cost of living is going up, but because the economy and inflation as well. So we have thousands of workers, once again, that's working hard, 40 to 80 hours, sometimes even more, to pay their bills, take care of their children, and take care of their responsibilities, but yet they don't have the means to do that. So I believe it's up to you guys with the power to make that change happen. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Vladimir Clearjune. Followed by Freddie Briosco.
People here. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'd like to apologize in advance. I'm a bit under the weather. I was here last March when you guys announced the proposal for the $19 an hour, and it was a pretty big morale booster. I've worked in the airport about 10 years, and up until about 2014, I think that was the first time, any of the airport workers had seen any major change in terms of wages. As long as it's been afforded to me, I've always had to do overtime, just to avoid living paycheck to paycheck. And the $19 an hour is important because it's gonna help quell the high turnover rates, and that's gonna ensure that there's better customer service provided, by workers that are just more seasoned. I know a lot of you gentlemen and lady, I know everyone's had the opportunity to go to school. That's something I've tried to do in the past, and it's kind of hard to juggle that and working full time. I've actually been dropped from LaGuardia and Queensboro, in pursuit of that. And, it's kind of hard. As an adult, not making a salary that, I guess reflects your age. It's kind of hard to be broke at 30. And, I don't even have a car. That's, it's a difficult thing to deal with. And what I do is, all right, I hope that you guys make the right decision. I know you're getting some blowback from the airlines, but I hope you guys make a swift decision.
Thank you. Thank you. Freddie Briosco. Freddie here. And then one last Charlene Tellerico after that.
Buenas tardes, señores comisionados. Freddy Briosco, trabajador de aeropuerto por más de 15 años.
I've been working at JFK for more than 15 years.
Con un salario que todos sabemos que no nos permite brindar una seguridad a nuestra familia.
With a salary that does not allow us to really fully be able to support our families.
Cuando no podemos comprar medicina, pagar un techo adecuadamente a nuestros hijos. Cuando no podemos brindar una educación, esto nos angustia, esto nos duele y esto nos enferma como ser humano.
It makes us sick as human beings when we can't fully afford rent or to pay for our education for our children or for food.
Sin embargo, sabemos que la aerolínea tiene una libertad de libre albedrío de cobrar los pasajes aéreos en el mundo entero sin regulación.
However, we know that the airlines have it in their power to charge whatever they'd like for their fares and to earn a significant amount of money.
Esto con grandes ganancias, grandes capitales. Y nosotros, los trabajadores, enfermos, angustiados, sufriendo.
They have the capital, whereas the workers like me continue to be sick, continue to be upset about not being able to afford what we need to afford.
Le pedimos, señores comisionados, todos los trabajadores que estamos acá, que tomen una posición de justicia ante esta situación con los trabajadores de aeropuerto. Gracias.
We ask that you please take a position of justice here for the airport workers. Thank you.
Thank you. Last speaker, Charlene Tellerico.
Good afternoon. This is my 9th appearance before this board since being assaulted by Diane Eller, now the director of TB&T, on August 4th, 2016. My previous appearances were in an effort to seek justice and assistance for the hostile, abusive environment I was forced to endure at the Lincoln Tunnel, including the assault and injury I suffered at the hands of the then general manager of the facility, Diane Eller. No hard-working, dedicated employee should ever have to endure what I experienced. I hope my continued pursuit of the truth and justice helps to ensure this never happens to another Port Authority employee. In March, shortly after the new initiative, It All Rides on Integrity, was introduced, I shared many examples of my personal experiences during my pursuit of the truth where integrity was seriously lacking. Today, I'm here on a different mission. I want to thank Chairman O'Toole, who was kind enough to show me courtesy and respect by meeting with me to discuss my situation. Without Chairman O'Toole, I believe I would have continued to be ignored. After meeting with Chairman O'Toole and Deborah Torres, the Chief of Ethics and Compliance, I now think it's possible that things can change. I believe with Chairman O'Toole, Executive Director Cotton, and Deborah Torres working in unison, the initiative, It All Rides in Integrity, has a great chance of succeeding. I look forward to when it does. Chairman O'Toole, Mr. Cotton, Ms. Torres, thank you for your efforts on my behalf and your efforts to have the Port Authority be the best it can be. I look forward to a solution that will allow us to move forward in a positive light and put this situation behind us. Thank you again. Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much. We'll now proceed with the voting items before the board today for consideration. Each of the respective committee chairs will provide a brief report prior to the matter being considered. The first item for consideration is a resolution regarding the proposed airport minimum wage policy and staff recommendations to extend the public comment period for an additional 30 days and for the board to take final action on the matter no later than September board meeting. Prior to making a motion, I would ask the corporate secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
No recusals.
Any comments or questions from the commissioners? Motion, please. Second. Corporate Secretary for roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Hurwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacino?
Yes. Votes in order. Item has been approved. As Chair of the Committee on Operations, I will now present for consideration an item that authorizes 5-year extension of a lease agreement with the New Jersey Transit bus operations for approximately 14 acres of property located in North Bergen, New Jersey, for use as Lincoln Tunnel Park and Ride lot. Under the terms of the extension, New Jersey Transit will pay the Port Authority $4.8 million over the 5-year term and continue to be responsible for operating and maintenance costs associated with the lot. Prior to making a motion, I ask the corporate secretary to note any commissioner recusals.
No recusals.
Comments or questions from commissioners? Motion, please. Second. Roll call.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald? Commissioner Pacino?
Yes. Yes. Carries.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford, as Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, and the World Trade Center Development Subcommittee, you will now provide your report on certain items before the board for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Chair of the Committee on Capital Planning, Execution, and Asset Management, and the World Trade Center Redevelopment Subcommittee, I will now report on 5 items under the respective committees' purview. The first item, which was discussed in committee earlier today, authorizes a $52 million project to implement an open road cashless tolling system at the Outer Bridge Crossing and the Goethals Bridge, and upon implementation of cashless tolling, due to the practical impossibility of continuing the Port Authority carpool plan, direct the discontinuation of that plan at the Outer Bridge Crossing and Goethals Bridge. Prior to making a motion on this item, I would ask the corporate secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
No recusals.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? If not, I will request a motion on this item.
Move.
May I have a second? I will now request the corporate secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacino?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved. The next item, which was also discussed in committee earlier today, authorizes the exercise of a contract option to purchase 22 new rail cars for the Path Rail system from Kawasaki Railcar. Under the negotiated agreement, Kawasaki will design, fabricate, test, and deliver the new rail cars at a price of $2,380,000 per rail car. This item also authorizes a $1.1 million increase to an existing agreement with the joint venture of LTK Engineering Services / Parsons Transportation Group for professional management services in support of the project. The total project cost for this initiative is $66 million, including the aforementioned costs and agency allocations. Prior to making a motion on this item, I would ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
No recusals.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? I'll now request a motion and a second on this item.
Second.
I will now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacino?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved. The next item authorizes a $68 million project to replace Superstorm Sandy damaged tracks and associated infrastructure that serves as a paths Newark to World Trade Center rail line. Prior to making a motion on this item, I would ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
No recusals.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? I'll now request a motion and second. I will now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacino?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved. The next item authorizes the expenditure of $1.4 million in planning to support the future rehabilitation of runway 4 right, 22 left at Newark Liberty International Airport and to apply for passenger facility charge funding to cover eligible planning costs. Prior to making a motion on this item, I would ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
No recusals.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? I will now request a motion and second.
Second.
I will now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacino?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, this item is approved. The next item authorizes certain energy conservation improvements at the World Trade Center as part of the Port Authority's multi-facility guaranteed energy savings program at a maximum price of $8 million. The cost of this program is fully offset by future energy savings. Prior to making a motion on this item, I would ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
No recusals.
Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on this item? I will now request a motion and a second on this item.
Second.
Thank you. I will now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll for voting on this item.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve?
Yes.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacino?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved. I turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Bagger, as Chair of the Committee on Finance, will now provide his report on items before the Board for consideration.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the Chair of the Committee on Finance, I wish to recommend a resolution for adoption concerning the Gateway Program. As you know, our 10-year capital plan includes $2.7 billion for the Gateway Program. And in October 2016, the Board authorized a Port Authority commitment to repay up to $284 million in low-cost federal loans relating to the replacement of the Portal North Bridge. In light of New Jersey Transit's increase in pledged appropriations to the Portal North Bridge project, the Port Authority's commitment for the Portal North Bridge is no longer required. So this resolution would reallocate the Port Authority's prior Portal North Bridge project commitment to the Hudson Tunnel project. The $2.7 billion included in our 10-year capital plan that relates to the Gateway Program support remains unchanged. So as a result of this resolution today, we are increasing, however, our commitment to the new Hudson Tunnel project to $2.7 billion. So through New Jersey Transit's actions on the Portal North Bridge and this resolution today relating to the Hudson Tunnel project, both financing plans will be strengthened. So this is very positive for the Gateway Program. Prior to making a motion, I would ask the Corporate Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on this matter.
No recusals.
Any questions, comments from the board? May we have a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
And roll call, please.
Chairman O'Toole?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Linford?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner Eve? Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
Commissioner Buccino?
And that item is approved.
All finished?
Yep.
Commissioner Horwitz, as Vice Chair of the Audit Committee, will now provide a report on the Audit Committee's consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Vice Chair of the Audit Committee, I wish to recommend a resolution authorizing the retention of the agency's external auditors for 2018. This will be a vote of the Audit Committee members only. By way of background, KPMG LLP was selected in 2011 on the basis of a competitive process which provided that subject to annual retention as determined by the Audit Committee, such services may be extended through 2016. The agreement also includes options to extend such services for up to 2 additional one-year periods at the Port Authority's discretion. The Audit Committee, consistent with its responsibilities under the bylaws and its committee charter, and after due review of KPMG's qualifications and performance to date, has determined to retain KPMG LLP as an independent auditor for the audit year ending December 31, 2018. I also wish to note that for the 2018 audit engagement, certain non-financial statement-based services that were previously provided by KPMG, including contractually required audit services, will be carved out of the contract. These services will now be competitively solicited for minority and women-owned business enterprises and further of the Port Authority's MWBE goals. Prior to making this motion on this item, I would ask the Secretary to note any commissioner recusals on the matter.
No recusals.
Do any commissioners have any comments or questions? I will now request a motion from a committee member who is not recused on this item.
Second.
I will now request the Corporate Secretary to call the roll of the committee members present for voting on the item.
Commissioner Horwitz?
Yes.
Commissioner Bagger?
Yes.
Commissioner McDonald?
Yes.
As the votes are in order, the item is approved.
No further business. Motion to adjourn. Here a second. In favor? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.